This is not the only place. Look at ghettos in big cities and you'll find other gangs. White gangs, black gangs, Chinese gangs, among others. But those gangs come and go. Here, it is perpetual.
Look, why don't you go in the hospital and sit down?
What for? Why can't I go home?
Why can't you, with a bullet in your back?
Yeah, why not?
Well, it may kill you.
So what?
Officer McBride, what about this attitude of the gang members? What they tell me, we're Robin Hoods.
That's not true. I like to forget the Robin and just call them hoods because that's what they are. They terrorize the community. They rob people in the community.
Deputy Wes McBride helps run the sheriff's gang unit.
Many times the victim of the gang killing isn't a gang member. He may be an innocent bystander that's hit by a round fired at a gang member or mistaken for a gang member. There's nothing romantic about the gang member.
Middle-class Mexican-Americans are embarrassed by their gangs and wish all attention was paid to the proud accomplishments of their community's majority. But the fact is that at least 1 out of every 10 local youths and many adults belong to gangs, despite the efforts by community groups and social service agencies to stop gang warfare. And what are the conditions that breed Chicano violence? The percentage of Mexican-Americans having less than 5 years schooling is 4 times the national average. Last year, 1 in 5 families of Spanish origin had incomes below the poverty level, while the rest of the population had less than 1 in 10. Their small homes are overcrowded, the people unemployed. Youngsters have nothing to do but hang out. The Catholic Church is one place they turn to for help, and Brother Modesto is a cleric whom they trust.
Why do we have brother against brother? Because they're frustrated. Maybe he doesn't have a job, maybe his school, he got kicked out, maybe he doesn't have any way to communicate, except that he feels good because the neighborhood will kind of help him, back him up if he's doing this thing. You know, we belong to clubs and things that make us feel good, but some of these kids don't have any of that, and so it's recognition.
The same conditions existing for young men exist for young women, and some of them have gangs of their own.
When you know that you're going to kick their ass, it's fun. When you know you're going to get your ass kicked, then it's fun after when you know that somebody's there to back you up and going to kick their ass.
I know I'm going to die of getting shot. I know I am. Because I used to tell God that I hope I don't die, but, you know, if you say that, you're going to die of that.
I think everybody's got a fear when they come to fighting, but it doesn't really, to me, it doesn't bother me as much. I mean, I can die, and I don't really care.
Like young men, young women have lengthy arrest records. Like men, they wish to appear tough, talk tough, be tough.
On this front, outside of me, I carried a tough attitude, that I was rough and tough. I never cried, that I was tough, and I could make it like that. But inside, I carried fear.
Ruth Sanchez joined the White Fence Gang when she was 11. She took us to her under the freeway.
When I would see other girls cut and bleeding or laying on the ground, I would feel pity for them, but I couldn't show it. So not to show pity, and I would show this toughness, I would walk by them and give them a swift kick, you know, and tell my homies, you see how tough, hey, nobody can down us. We're number one. And we were fighting to be number one, meaning like when anybody around here would hear, here comes the girls from White Fence, they would tremble in fear and move aside. When we walked down the street, people moved off the street.
It's not that easy to leave your gang. Stay in the neighborhood, and you're an outcast. Move away, and there you're an outsider.
When did you first say to yourself, I want out? I don't want anything more to do with gangs, and I've got to get out?
My children were already born. 4 of my children were born, and I had just came out of the prison. And I was running with another girl that was like me. She was tough, and I really liked her a lot. And she had 5 children, just like I do now. And she says, you know, my son is not in the gang. I says, no. And she says, no, my son's the leader of the gang. I said, oh, wow, that's beautiful. You're raising your kids good. And some months passed. I hadn't seen her in quite a while. And she gave me a call one day, and she says, you know, Ruth, my son just killed a cop. And you know, her next words to me threw me. Her words were, you know, I'm gonna get him the best lawyers, the best. And I thought about it, and I says, you know, I don't want to get the best lawyers for my kids. I don't want to sit in courtrooms. I've been in them, God, from the time I can remember. I don't want my kids raised like that. So I changed a lot my attitude towards how Ruth was going to raise her children. And that's how the time it came to change.
Because of her long prison record, the best job Sanchez can get is washing windows. But she considers herself lucky because none of her children is in a gang, and she was able to get out of the old neighborhood, find something better to live for. She's the exception.
It's your neighborhood that you care for the most. I don't even look up to my own wife. I mean, we don't communicate as much as I communicate with my friends, because I want my friends, and my friends is what I want, and that's what I want, and that's what I'm gonna get, and that's who I'm gonna be with all the time. And as long as I can have one hand, but I got the other hand, I'll always use this other hand. At least I got my fingers to pull the next trigger.
After we had packed up our camera gear and were leaving, we saw this scene and stopped to film it. We saw Happy taking target practice, not with the gun he had displayed earlier, but with a pellet gun. Suddenly, we heard the shots of a real gun.
Happy. Oh, shit. I shot myself, Holmes. Shut up. Get out of here, Holmes. I shot myself.
What, eh?
Shut yourself. Come on, take me to the hospital. Call up an ambulance.
Hey, here, throw pellets in it.
Happy's gun was in his belt when he accidentally pulled the trigger. The bullet went in his stomach, out his back. Minutes afterward, we raced him to a hospital where he recovered. Happy now has 2 more holes to show off. The Chicanos kill only each other, so outsiders don't really care. And what worries these people is that gangs are not decreasing, but spreading, erupting outside Los Angeles and other sections of California, in New Mexico, Texas, elsewhere.
Our barrio is like our country, our own little country. We fight for our dirt.
Nothing has changed, and the old have little to pass on to their children but tradition.
When I grow up, I'm gonna be like them. Be like them because every time they jump our friends, so we jump them.
You don't have to be initiated or nothing. They're raised, they're a product of Garrity.
It's part of living.
Right on.
Be like them.
I'd like to show you